You are listening to The Confidence Project, episode number 145. Welcome to The Confidence Project. I am your host, certified life coach Lærke Nielsen, and I help smart women who doubt themselves calm their overthinking brain so they can stop hiding in the background and instead speak up and take confident action. In this podcast, we are shifting your identity. You're becoming a woman who believes in yourself and who wants to live her best life starting today. Hey there. Today I'm going to share with you an idea that I had because of something completely unrelated. A few years ago, I started to react every springtime with itchy eyes and runny nose, and I knew instantly this is most likely pollen allergy. So I just decided to live with that because I didn't have a very strong reaction. But then what happened at some point was I noticed that every time I ate a pear or an apple, my throat would start to itch. So that was actually really annoying. And even outside of the pollen season, I couldn't eat apples and pears. And then at some point, I also couldn't eat hazelnuts. So I figured this was a cross reaction, a cross allergy that can sometimes happen. And then I went to an allergy specialist to get that confirmed, but also to ask if it was possible to do some kind of desensitization. Because I had in the back of my mind this idea that maybe there is a method to treat this kind of allergy. And luckily, I was right because this doctor told me that you can actually increase your tolerance to something that you have already developed an allergy towards, especially in the case of these cross reactions with pollen, where at some point you can't eat apples, and in theory, it could be many other fruits as well. So there's a protocol that you could follow, and that will habituate your immune system to actually be able to tolerate the substance that is causing this allergy. And so after having thought about that, I decided I'm going to try that. I'm going to try to do this protocol. So I'm doing that right now. And the way it works is that it's a protocol over 8 weeks, and you actually expose yourself to apples. And the ideal apple is a golden delicious because apparently they have the highest amount of this protein that is causing the allergy. And so you expose yourself every single day for a small amount that you gradually increase week by week. So in the first couple of weeks, you just have 1 teaspoon of a mix of this apple and some fruit compote, and then you increase that amount, and then you start eating small pieces of apple, and then you eat a quarter an apple, then you eat half an apple, and at the end, I should be able to eat apples again. And then the requirement is to maintain this tolerance by eating, I think it's like 3 times a week, I need to eat a full apple. I thought this was actually kind of interesting to think of, that when it comes to our immune system, we can increase the tolerance. We can habituate the system to not react towards something that we normally react towards, something that our body normally does not want and creates a reaction towards. And I was thinking, what if we use this principle on our nervous system also? Like you can habituate yourself, or you can increase your tolerance to something that feels very uncomfortable or very scary or very out of the comfort zone by creating a protocol where you do a small thing, like a tiny bit of the thing that you want to do. You do a tiny bit of that every day, and once a week you increase the level. You either do it for longer time, or you increase the difficulty or the level of discomfort in this action, so that at the end of the 8 weeks, you can do the thing you want to do. And it doesn't feel like a big deal because you habituated yourself, you habituated your nervous system. So I thought of this as a principle or as a process you can use on your nervous system to increase tolerance for discomfort on purpose. Like if you don't want to jump straight into something, you think it's going to have the opposite effect on me. If I do this, it's going to feel so scary or overwhelming that I'm going to give up after just having tried once. It's going to be too much. I can't even imagine doing this thing. Then you can sort of trick your brain, or you can decondition the fear or the resistance by taking small doses of this action you want to take every single day consistently until you have habituated your nervous system and you have increased your tolerance for discomfort. Now, you might want to ask yourself, well, why would I even want to do that? Why do I want to tolerate discomfort? What is the kind of discomfort I want to be tolerating? And of course, that's a valid question, because why would we seek out discomfort on purpose? But there are so many situations in life where there's something you want to do, there's something you want to achieve, but you're not just doing it because either it's difficult, it's challenging, it's demanding, or it makes you feel nervous and scared, it's out of your comfort zone. Everything that we want in life and that we don't just go and do, like eat a bag of chips or drink a cocktail, everything that we don't just go and do, but something that really matters to us and that we postpone, or that we have to pull ourselves together before we do, and then we change our mind and we're not really sure we want to do it. All these things that really matters and make you grow and develop and feel proud of yourself, there is a level of resistance involved. There's a level of discomfort involved to get on the other side. And we can say it includes an immediate discomfort to get the long-term comfort or the long-term result, which could be feeling proud of yourself because you did the thing you decided to do. So that discomfort that you feel, that could be delayed gratification. Like if you want to achieve a goal, but your brain tells you to stay at the couch. Or you want to go to the gym, but your brain tells you, no, we're going to watch Netflix and eat chocolate. So your discomfort in this situation, that consists of overcoming that desire for instant gratification in order to get an even better gratification on the other side, like achieving what you want by going to the gym, feeling better about yourself, feeling better about your body, getting into a better shape. All this is something that you want that's on the other side, but requires you to overcome this resistance and to tolerate this initial discomfort. And here, when we talk about either staying at home on the couch or going to the gym, there's sort of two layers of discomfort, because the one is the one that comes from saying no to the instant dopamine hit you get from just relaxing and eating chocolate and watching Netflix. And the other one is the discomfort from getting yourself out of the house and going to the gym. So it's like two things that you need to overcome. It could also be other things, such as overcoming fear of speaking in public, like in front of a group, a bigger group, at work, or giving a presentation somewhere. Public speaking, that's actually one of the things that most people fear the most. I think it's rated higher than jumping out of a plane with a parachute. This is something many of us really have a deep, deep fear of. So that could be a good thing to work on. It could also be working on a bigger project, such as renovating a flat or a house, or writing a book, or learning a new language. So these are examples of things that we want, but that requires us to tolerate a certain level of discomfort. And you can say not all of them are just obvious fit for a protocol, a discomfort tolerance protocol, but some of them are. And I'm going to speak a little bit about that in a moment. But when you create a protocol like this, where you increase the level of discomfort every day to get to a certain level, to get to a certain goal, it's almost a little bit like the way we speak about how do you eat an elephant? Like, how can that even be possible? Yeah, you take just one bite a day. Not that I want to eat an elephant. I actually think it's quite gross to think about eating an elephant. But the principle is to not underestimate what you can do over a longer time. When you sit down and plan and you stick to your plan and you do it consistently, how much you can achieve in a year or even shorter. So you can think about one thing that you have been putting out or you have been delaying on your agenda because you tell yourself this is too scary, or I'm not confident enough, or I feel overwhelmed by this, I don't know where to start. And then you decide to just take small steps at a time and do it consistently. And then every week you can increase a little bit the effort or the level of challenge. And then ask yourself, where would you then be in 8 weeks from now? Where would you be? So we can say, when we talk about this discomfort protocol, like in the big picture, there are two areas of projects or two types of project where you can create this protocol. The first one is Things that are complicated or challenging or demanding, something that creates a resistance in you. You feel this is hard, this is going to be hard, this is going to be difficult, it's overwhelming. Maybe part of it is boring. It's going to take a lot of my time and it's going to be very demanding. That is the one area. And then the other one is the one where we're talking about projects where you are out of your comfort zone. It feels like an emotional risk. It's not necessarily complicated, but it's challenging in the way that your nervous system is alert and you really feel that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and it's uncomfortable, it's scary, and makes you almost a little bit anxious. And I would say this is the area where a discomfort protocol is really useful, where it really is in its place. Because here you want to start with the small steps and then increase gradually. And then your nervous system will bit by bit find out it's not actually that scary. Because when you use this tool, you are showing yourself and you're showing your brain that you can go ahead and do the action in spite of fear. And you just do a small thing every day. And every time you do that, you train your brain to understand that is not dangerous. It's okay. You will survive. And that makes it more easy to take the next step. And at the end, you can achieve much bigger things than you could if you tried it on the first day. And at the same time, you don't throw yourself into something on day one where it feels so scary that you will never go back. You're too nervous, you're too shaky, and maybe you survived, but you're definitely not doing this again. So this is the kind of project where I feel here a protocol, a discomfort protocol is really in its place. So it could be, for instance, you want to be good at speaking up at work. You want to be good at saying your opinion in front of a group and not get nervous about it, not overthink it before you speak up, and not replay whatever you said in your head afterwards and tell yourself it wasn't really that smart and you should have said something else or whatever. So how could you become someone who speaks up at work? You could decide, for instance, every single day that you ask a question or you make a comment in all the meetings you join. You're never just quiet. You say something. And then you can gradually increase by deciding to present small things or deciding to join meetings with more people and where you also take the word, ask a question, give a comment, a little bit longer comment. And one thing you also can do that can feel very challenging, and we don't do that if we're nervous when we're speaking, but that is actually to say something where you deliberately include a small pause or a small break where people can just reflect. This is something that is much more a sign of confidence than if you speak fast. But it can feel challenging to do that, to have a little break and then continue talking afterwards. So you could decide that, okay, all the meetings I'm going to ask one question. The next week I'm going to ask a question and give a comment. The next week I'm going to take the word and speak a little bit more. Then I'm going to ask myself to present something. And then I'm going to join some of the really big meetings and I'm going to stand up and say something twice. Whatever works in your workplace, you could decide a protocol like that. And you can see how crazy it is. After 8 weeks, you actually will be able to do much more than you are today without freaking out, without your nervous system completely collapsing. And then the point is, of course, as with the apples, you need to maintain it afterwards because otherwise you lose that tolerance. It's almost like a muscle that you need to train. So once you have achieved that level of confidence in doing something that normally would feel scary, you have to continue doing that on the regular. And this is also a way to build it into your identity, being someone who's not scared of that. Or let's say more precisely, being someone who does that, whether you're scared or not. You could also decide, I'm going to be a person who talks to people, wherever I go, people I don't know. It could be, I say hi to someone in the canteen at work. I say hi to someone when I go to the gym. Or I exchange a few words with people in shops or in public transportation, or I go to a museum. Wherever you go, that you are someone who's always connecting with people around you. And if you're very introverted, this can feel scary in the beginning, and you might feel a little bit stupid, what am I going to say to those people? but it's something that also will build your confidence a lot. So this could be a thing that you put together a little protocol for, and then at the end, you are actually able to have a chat with someone you never met before. You go to an event, you meet new people, and you can totally have a chat or share things about yourself and who you are and your story in front of a group of 4 or 5 people that you only just met. It could also be trying different things that are just outside your comfort zone, like learning a new language and speaking this language in front of other people. This might sound like a small thing, but I promise you, like as someone who moved to France 7 years ago, I had a decent level of French when I arrived, but when you're in a workplace where everyone speaks French, and especially in the lunch break, for instance, there's a really bad acoustic and everyone is talking at the same time, and then all of a sudden everyone is laughing and you missed the joke, or you want to say something and before you even find the right grammar to put the sentence together, well, subject has changed, people are talking about something else, or you have to push yourself sometimes to say something where you know this is not correct. I know it's not correct, but I'm not sure what is correct. So basically, I think one of the biggest challenges in learning a new language is that you experience there's a big gap between what you're thinking and what you want to express and what comes out of your mouth. It's like you have a high level of thinking, but you're speaking like a kindergarten child. So you cannot express exactly and precisely what's on your mind, and you feel like an idiot. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay sounding stupid. Because if you don't speak at this point when you have this level, you won't progress. So you have to practice speaking even when you feel shitty at it, you feel you're not good enough yet to have a normal conversation. You have to throw yourself into that anyway. And just remember that it's not your native language. And just because you speak like an idiot doesn't mean you are an idiot and you think like an idiot. It's just that you can't find the words yet. So that is also something that this discomfort protocol could be good using on learning a new language and using that language in front of other people every single day. Just in small portions and then a little bit more and then a little bit more. And then after 8 weeks, you're having conversations. You might feel you're stumbling along and you're searching for the words all the time, but you're having real conversations at least 3 times a week with someone who speaks the language on a native level. It could also be like, let's say you have a business and you want to talk about what you do and how you can help people. What are you offering people? You want to practice talking about that every single day in front of strangers that you just met. Maybe you even want to give a webinar or you want to talk for a longer time, 3 times a week at the end. And so you practice that bit by bit. This can be useful if you're a new business owner and you're not used to talking about how you can help people, how you can serve people, or what you can offer them. And that can feel challenging because you might not have the experience yet to feel that you're really that great. It could even be in dating where you bit by bit allow yourself to be 100% yourself on a day. Be vulnerable, show your true colors, share something quirky about yourself, or decide to chat with someone every day, have a phone conversation, or send them a voice message where you show a little bit more of yourself. Small things like that, you can use a discomfort protocol for that as well. Then if we talk about things in the first category I mentioned, those things that are more demanding or challenging or where we have a lot of resistance towards, this could be something like starting a physical activity. You want to start exercising more, either going to the gym or just go for a longer walk or do some exercises at home. You can also introduce that into your life by doing like just 5 minutes a day in the first week and then 10 minutes a day in the second week. Then you increase to 15 and then you change your scheme so that you do like 5 times a week, you do an hour or whatever. You can imagine building that up bit by bit. Or it could be new eating habits. There's also a way it's really good to use this protocol. It could be either deciding something you want to introduce, something new you want to eat. You want to eat 5 different vegetables every day, or you want to add more fiber to your diet. But it could also be something you want to take away. When you want to reduce your consumption of coffee, alcohol, salt, candy, chocolate, whatever, you take a little bit of this out every day for a week. And then next week you exchange something else for a vegetable. And then the next week something else. And it could also be learning a new skill, like play an instrument. This also requires you to put a lot of energy and patience in, and where you also start by just a few minutes a day. I do think that the category where we are out of a comfort zone is the one that is the most obvious to do a discomfort protocol on, because you want to habituate your nervous system. You want to slowly decondition yourself to be afraid of this. You want to decondition your fear from this. You want to increase your tolerance for this feeling you have when you do it, whether that is fear or awkwardness or even shame. It could even be shame if you feel you're not good enough or something wrong with you. You want to slowly decondition yourself and your nervous system from letting the fear of that feeling stop you. So when you decide to use a discomfort protocol, of course, the obvious purpose is that you can achieve a goal that before seemed really impossible. You can achieve that. You can start doing that in 8 weeks, for instance, because you do slowly increase your level of confidence with doing this thing. But another advantage that is also quite important with this protocol is that you build a lot of self-trust when you do that. Because the way I want you to use the protocol is you have to decide on an action you take every single day, and you have to track it. So you make a very simple system on your phone, in a notebook, and then you tick off every time you did it. And you can see by the end of 8 weeks, I follow through. I am someone who does what I say I will do. And if I decide in 8 weeks to give a speech in front of a big group at work, or I decide to have a long conversation in a new language that I'm just learning, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it might feel overwhelming right now on day 1, but I have a trick to train my brain into not letting that fear or that overwhelm stop me by doing small bits at a time and increasing gradually. And then after 8 weeks, I will be totally okay doing this. I'm not saying you will not feel any fear or you will not feel any awkwardness at all, but you will have trained your brain to see that you can do it anyway. You can go ahead and do it anyway. And most likely your level of fear or anxiety or awkwardness or whatever feeling is stopping you normally will have decreased a lot when you get to week 8. So that was my little tip for you today, the discomfort protocol. Go ahead and try it. Decide something that you really want to do, but you have been delaying, or you have circled around and then decided to not do it anyway because it feels uncomfortable, it feels scary. It could even be like, in 8 weeks, your friend is going to get married and you want to give a speech at the wedding. So now is the time you actually start practicing a little bit, speaking up, talking in front of people, getting more comfortable taking the word, letting people see you and hear you while you talk, so that in 8 weeks you can give this speech. Or it could be, I keep coming back to speaking in public because I really think it's one of the things that most people agree that it feels scary. And I do that myself as well. And I remember I had a job at some point where I quite often had to go and give lectures or give speeches to different groups. And in the beginning, it felt so scary, so uncomfortable. But after I had done that on the regular, it was just another thing. It was just another task at work. It was not something big, not a big deal. But then I stopped doing it because I had another job. And then I had to, at some point again, give a speech. And there I had to go through the same discomfort and this same feeling nervous and awkward and anxious about it because I didn't maintain it. So that's also important to remember if you want to be a person who does that and who feels confident doing that and who can decide to go ahead and do this action even if you feel scared. You want to make sure that you maintain it and you do it on the regular. So I hope you find this little trick empowering, because I do. I think it's so great and I can't wait to eat a whole golden delicious. Here in France, they are so good. They're so crunchy and juicy and wonderful taste. So much better than what I know from Denmark, where it's a little bit more watery flavor. I think it's probably the sun that does something to the taste of the fruits here. And I am at week 5 now, so in not so long, I will be able to eat an apple. And I haven't been able to do that for years. So that is going to be awesome. And if you try this discomfort protocol on yourself, if you decide to do something in your life, I would love to hear from you. I would really love to hear if some of you have decided to use it on one or the other thing. You can either write me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is now Lærkenissen Coach, or you can find my website lærkenissencoaching.com, and there you can write to me. You can find my email there. So that's what I had for you this week. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end, and have a wonderful week. If you like what you're hearing on this podcast, I would be happy if you can give me a rating and a review and share the podcast with a friend. And if you now feel inspired to do this work and become a woman who fully believes in herself, then book a free call on the link in the show notes. I would love to talk to you.